The morning was quiet and soft, and the sun rose slowly over a small town near a wide river, and in this town lived an old man named Adam, who had waited for many years for one simple dream that lived inside his heart, and this dream was not loud or big, but it was gentle and calm, and Adam woke up every day with the same feeling of hope and the same feeling of pain, because he had waited for this dream for 60 long years, and every year had passed like a slow walk on a long road, and Adam remembered his life from the very start, when he was a young boy with clean hands and bright eyes, and he loved words even when he did not know them well, and he loved sounds even when he could not understand them, and when Adam was a child, he heard English words for the first time on an old radio that his father brought home from the city, and the radio was old and brown and heavy, but to Adam it was like a small window to another world, and he sat close to it every evening, listening to soft voices speak in English, and he did not understand the words, but he felt their rhythm, and he felt their calm music, and he felt a warm feeling inside his chest, and from that time, Adam wanted to learn English, not for work, not for money, but for peace, and he told himself that one day he would understand those words, and one day he would speak them with a slow and clear voice, but life did not move in the way Adam wanted, because his family was poor, and his town was small, and school was far, and books were rare, and when Adam grew older, he had to work in the fields with his father, and his days were long and hard, and his hands became rough, and his back became tired, and at night he slept with pain, but inside him the dream stayed alive, quiet and patient, like a small light that never went out, and every year Adam told himself that next year would be the year, and next year he would learn English, and next year he would find a teacher or a book or a way, but next year always came. Adam sat with the notebook in his hands for a long time, and the room was very quiet, and the only sound was the soft wind coming through the open window, and this quiet helped his heart feel calm, and he looked at the sentence he wrote again, and each time he read it, he felt a little stronger inside, because the words were simple, but the meaning was deep for him, and he thought about all the years he waited, and all the times he wanted to start but did not, and he did not feel anger now, only understanding, because life had its own path, and he had walked that path step by step, slowly and honestly, and now he was here, with time behind him and time still in front of him, and Adam decided that he would not rush, because rushing was not his way, and learning English would be slow, like the river near his house, and that was fine, and he stood up and walked to a small shelf near the wall, where a few old books rested, and most of them were in his own language, and some were very old, with torn pages and weak covers, and among them was one thin English book that his son sent him many years ago, and Adam remembered that day clearly, because his son smiled and said, "Father, you like English, so this is for you," and Adam smiled then too, but he never opened the book, because he felt shy, and he felt that he was too old, and he felt that the time had passed, and now, holding the notebook, Adam took the English book from the shelf, and dust fell from it, and he gently cleaned the cover with his hand, and he sat down again, slowly, because his knees hurt sometimes, and he opened the book, and the pages made a soft sound, and the letters were small, but clear, and the words were simple, and Adam read the first word slowly, and he did not know how to say it, but he tried, and his voice was low and soft, and he did not laugh at himself, and he did not feel shame, because no one was there to judge him, and he read another word, and then another, and he did not was light, and his mind was full of soft thoughts, and he lay in his bed for a short time, listening to the slow sound of his own breath, and he felt thankful for this new feeling inside him, because it was not heavy like worry, and it was not sharp like fear, but gentle like a hand resting on his heart, and when he stood up, his body felt old, but his spirit felt young, and he walked slowly to the window and opened it, and cool air came into the room, and the sky was light blue, and the river moved calmly, just like every day, and this made Adam feel safe, because some things in life stay the same, even when we change inside, and he washed his face with cold water, and he looked at his reflection in the small mirror on the wall, and he saw his gray hair, his tired eyes, and his long lines on his face, and he did not feel sad, because these lines were stories, and each one showed a year lived, a moment felt, and a lesson learned, and Adam smiled at himself, a small and quiet smile. And he said in English, very slowly, "Good morning," and the words sounded soft in the empty room, and he repeated them again, and again, until they felt natural, And then he went to the table and opened his notebook, and the first sentence was still there, clear and simple, and it made him feel brave, and he decided to write another sentence, but this time his hand stopped, because he did not know what to write, and he sat with the pen in his hand, thinking, and he thought about his life, his town, the river, and his waiting, and then he wrote slowly, I am old, but I want to learn, and when he finished, he read it aloud, and his voice was calm, and his eyes became wet, because the sentence was true, and truth has power, even when it is simple. And Adam closed the notebook and took the English book again, and he opened it to the first page, and this time he did not feel shy, because yesterday had shown him that trying was enough, and he read one small part, only a few lines, and he stop. Go down. Adam closed the book and held it close to his chest, and he felt thankful for this day, because it was simple, but full, and when he walked back home, his steps were slow, but sure, and he knew that tomorrow he would continue, not because he had to, but because he wanted to, and this want was gentle and strong, and as night came and the stars appeared, Adam sat by his window and whispered another English sentence he learned, and the words floated into the quiet night, carrying with them 60 years of waiting, and the soft joy of finally beginning. The days that followed moved in a slow and gentle way, and Adam began to feel a new rhythm in his life, a rhythm that was calm and steady, like the soft steps of someone walking without fear, and each morning he woke up with a small plan in his heart, not a heavy plan, not a long list, but only one simple wish, to learn one more English word, and this wish gave shape to his day, and it made his time feel full, even when he did very little, and Adam learned to enjoy the quiet moments, because in these moments he could hear his own thoughts, and he could hear the sound of the words in his mind, and after breakfast he sat at the table with his notebook and book, and he opened them slowly, like opening a door to a peaceful room, and he read the same lines many times, because new lines felt too fast, and he wanted the words to stay with him, not pass him by, and he spoke them softly, sometimes to the table, sometimes to the wall, and sometimes to the empty chair where his wife once sat. And this made him feel less alone, because the words filled the space between memories and now, and when he forgot a word, he did not feel shame, he only smiled and tried again, because forgetting was also part of learning, and as the hours passed, Adam sometimes felt tired, and he closed the book and rested his eyes, and during these rests, his mind traveled back in time, to the many years when learning English was only a dream, and each small sentence with it, and the sentence was not perfect, but it was honest, and honesty made it beautiful. And then Adam closed the notebook and held it on his lap, and he thought about time, how it moves forward without stopping, and how people often wait too long for the right moment, and he wished that young people could see him now, an old man learning like a child, because maybe it would help them start sooner. But Adam did not feel regret, because regret was heavy, and he wanted his heart to stay light, and he looked up at the night sky and whispered a few English words he knew, and the stars listened without judgment. And this made him feel safe, and before going to bed, Adam thanked life in his own quiet way, for giving him another chance, even after 60 years of waiting, and as he lay down, his body resting on the old bed, his mind stayed awake for a while, repeating words, building sentences, and holding hope, and he fell asleep with a soft smile, knowing that tomorrow would bring another word, another step, another small victory, and that this slow road of learning was not a race, but a gentle walk. And he was finally walking it, one calm day at a time. One morning, as the season slowly changed and the air became a little cooler, Adam felt a deeper calm inside him, a calm that did not come from rest, but from meaning, and meaning made his days feel strong and gentle at the same time, and he noticed that learning English was no longer something separate from his life, but something woven into it, like the river, like breathing, like waiting, and when he woke up that day, he did not rush to the table, and he did not open the book first, but instead he sat quietly on his bed and thought about the word waiting, because waiting had been his companion for 60 years, and now it felt different, not heavy, not empty, but full, and he wondered how to say this word in English, and he slowly looked for it in the book, turning the pages with care, and when he with joy, because it was real, because it crossed a small bridge between two lives, and he walked home with lighter steps, holding the bread in one hand and hope in the other, and when he reached his house, he sat down and rested, and he thought about how language opens doors, even small ones, and how he spent so many years standing outside, afraid to knock, and now he was finally knocking, softly, kindly, and the doors were opening, one by one, and in the afternoon Adam listened to English. Again, not from the old radio, but from a small device his son once gave him, and he found simple stories, spoken slowly, and he listened with care, and sometimes he closed his eyes and just felt the sound, like he did as a child, and this made the past and present meet in a gentle way, and he did not try to understand everything, because he learned that understanding grows with time, and forcing it only brings pain. And when the sun began to go down, Adam went to the river and sat quietly, watching the light change on the water, and he spoke English words out loud, not caring if anyone heard him, because these words were part of him now, and they belonged to his story, and as evening came, he felt tired, but in a good way, like a day well lived, and back at home, he wrote again in his notebook, and this time he wrote about waiting, about learning, and about starting late, and the sentences were simple, but full, and he felt that even if no one else ever read these pages, they mattered, because they were proof that it is never too late to begin. And before sleeping, Adam placed the notebook and the English book beside his bed, like trusted friends, and he whispered a short English prayer, not perfect, not long, but honest, thanking life for patience, thanking time for kindness, and thanking himself for not giving up, and as he closed his eyes, he felt peace spread through his body, and he knew that the waiting had changed shape, that it was no longer empty time, but live in.